So I am not a horror expert. However, this year I'm trying to broaden my horizons when it comes to different genres that I read. However, that does not change the fact that Grady Hendrix's new book, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, is probably going to end up being one of my favorite books I read in this entire year, and I know it's only January. I could not put this book down. I read it in a day. I was doing my dishes reading it. I was washing my clothes reading it. I was cooking while reading it. I could not put my Kindle down for a second. I was so invested in this, and I absolutely loved it. So in a pro-Roe v. Wade era of American history, usually if a young girl got in trouble, she was sent away. The story to other people would always be she's staying with a relative who's sick or whatever, or she's at summer camp or something. But the reality was that these girls were usually sent to homes for unwed mothers where they would go through their pregnancies and then have the babies there. And like 9 times out of 10, they were kind of pressured into giving up the babies. And that's the setting for this book. Our main character, Fern, is one of these girls, and she ends up here beyond her will. She doesn't want to be there, and she ends up befriending the group of girls who are there with her. They kind of all bond over the same trauma that they're going through, and every couple of weeks a bookmobile comes to visit them, so they have something to entertain them. And that's where they meet a witch, and she gives them a book that helps them kind of harness their power and take a little bit of control of what's going on to them. But all things are never what they seem, and with magic, there's always a price to pay, and so that is the plot of this book. There are a few twists and turns throughout here, which is part of why I couldn't put this book down. I needed to know where this was going. I could not, go a half hour without thinking about this book, and ended up staying up so late to finish it. I loved all these characters. I felt so attached to these girls, I wanted to go in the book and help them. That's how attached I felt to them. I thought Hendrix's writing was really descriptive, and this is straight up body horror. I mean, we're dealing with pregnancy, so you know what you're going to get in a horror book about pregnancy. Straight up body horror. It was creepy, it made my skin crawl, but it was so emotional at the same time, and it added to the feeling of I needed to go help these girls myself. There were real stakes, there was real pain and suffering, because it is a horror book that's going to come with it. But the way that everything kind of ties together and wraps up is so satisfying. This wasn't torturing these girls for the sake of torturing these girls, at least as far as the story went. It was going somewhere, and where it went to, and watching these girls kind of take control of their own lives again was chef's kiss. I loved this. Everything about this was just absolute perfection. I adored this book, and I'm definitely going to read more of his work.